Now, before we allow him to speak and to deliver his message to us, on behalf of the Black Student Union, we'd like to present him with a token of our appreciation and our love.
Mr. Farrakhan, you probably haven't had a chance to notice, but quite a few black students in the audience have medallions like these with Africa on them. What they mean is we're celebrating our heritage as people and a unity of all African people across the globe. And so, to make you feel at home, the Wisconsin Black Student Union, I'd like to present you with your very own. Thank you very much.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. I greet all of you, students, faculty, members of the community of Madison, with the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. I am exceedingly grateful to the black students of the University of Wisconsin for extending to me this invitation. I know it has been difficult for you, but you have persevered, and this evening has happened because of you, and we thank you very, very much. The founding fathers of this great country, having lived under oppression in Europe, understood the value of free speech. So when they formed the Constitution, they wrote it into the Constitution so that no person in this country would be denied that right, that privilege. They were not afraid, evidently, of strange ideas or new ideas or unpopular ideas. They felt that if this was to be a great nation, to truly lead the world, then it must be a nation that is not afraid of ideas, no matter how different or unpopular they may be. For if, in fact, the university has done its job and taught you, pardon me, well, then you should be able to listen to me tonight without any fear or trepidation. You're intelligent students. You are intelligent people. You know a bigot when you hear him. You know a racist when you hear him. You know an anti-Semite when you hear him. You know a sexist when you hear him. So if I am all of that and then some, then the school should have no fear. You all will assign to me the trash can of ideas that are rejected by an intelligent community of people. So America is big. allows me the freedom to speak, and it allows those who disagree the freedom to protest. And I think that's what makes this as it should be. You know, the founding fathers were so wise in one sense. They put that provision there, freedom of speech, so that if the country went off course, if the country began to deteriorate, if the country became divided, if the people became misdirected, freedom of speech would allow truth to be told to correct any imbalance, any misdirection, and put the country back on a proper course. Freedom of speech is the actual salvation of America. Who fears? Lies cannot stand up in the presence of truth, even as darkness cannot stand in the presence of light. So who fears? There is nothing to fear if what we have is the truth. Then truth can only be enhanced by more truth. But if what we have is other than the truth, then thank God for the founding fathers who allowed free speech so that someone might come and present the truth and banish falsehood, that we might get on with the business of life. The black students wanted me here for this very special occasion. White students have to ask themselves, why is there a necessity to even have such a month as Black History Month? Nobody else in America has any month or day or week to recognize their culture and their heritage. For their culture and their heritage is with them on a daily basis. Why now? Why did Carter G. Woodson protest and demand that black people in America know more about self? Why did he fight so hard to teach us the value of our own history, our own culture, our own African roots? Why? Because the wise understood that as a tree without roots is dead, a people without the knowledge of their history is likewise a dead people. We cannot fault Chinese people for wanting to enrich themselves by knowing their history, their culture, and their contributions to Chinese society and to the world community. We cannot blame or look at it as racist for black students to want to baptize themselves in a greater and richer knowledge and understanding of our history and what we have contributed to Africa's development and to the development of the human family. So Black History Month has become a necessity because we as a people were robbed of the knowledge of our history. No people in this room, I would dare say, are as robbed of the knowledge of self as these, my brothers and sisters, the black students and the black people of North America and the diaspora. Why is this so that in 1989 we must know more about ourselves. Why is it that people can come to America from Cuba and recognize the tremendous opportunity that America affords, and within 30 years the Cubans have come from poverty to become a political power in Miami and in the state of Florida? The Haitians just came here a few years ago, and now in Miami, in a section of Miami called Little Haiti, they have 5 banks. They have a myriad of stores. Why is it that the Vietnamese came just a few days ago? The Koreans came just a few days ago. The Palestinians and others came from war-torn, civil strife-torn lands, and in a few years they take advantage of what America has to offer. But we've been here longer than anybody else and are at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder. What is the matter? What is wrong? Does our being at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder speak to an inherent inferiority of black people? Are we inferior to others? Or has something happened to us that we don't understand and they don't understand, so we judge ourselves harshly, and we are judged harshly by those who do not understand, who have been robbed themselves of the history of what has happened to us that would make a brass monkey shed tears? I did not come here tonight to accept an honorarium, to divide human beings and increase hostility and hatred of one toward the other. I would expect that there's enough of that for all of us. But what I came here tonight to accomplish, and with the help of Almighty God, I believe I will, is to create a basis for understanding and mutual respect. But that basis of understanding and mutual respect cannot be built upon hypocrisy and lies. We must stop skinning and grinning when we don't feel it and don't mean it. We have to learn to talk to each other frankly, openly, and honestly. And if we are incorrect in our thinking, it is only by having the strength to express yourself that someone can correct you, or you can correct others by your expression. But when you feel intimidated, when you feel this sense of cowardice, that you must be afraid to think because white people may not like what you say or what you think, then you will never help them to understand us. We should not necessarily be callous to what other people think, but we shouldn't let other people's thinking stop us from acting as a people should act for our own liberation and self-determination. So tonight, black and white, Christian and Jew and Muslim and Gentile and agnostic and atheist and socialist and nationalist and Pan-Africanist, whatever our ideology or philosophy or religious persuasion may be, by the time we leave here tonight, you're going to know a little bit more about black people. And you're going to know a little bit more about Louis Farrakhan. And probably you'll understand better when I leave why I'm hated. And you will understand better when I leave why black people love me so much. Now, now to the students, we must understand the value of history. Those of you who are history majors, history is recorded time. It is the record of human struggle against environment and human struggle to attain our desires. History is the struggle of people to know themselves and to get to know one another. The Quran teaches us that Allah has created us and made us into tribes and families that we may know one another, not hate one another. But in getting to know one another, sometimes we clash because we don't know each other. We are strange. And since we are basically not as mature humanly as we could be or as we should be, every difference in us, in color, in features, in national origin, in religious persuasion, in political philosophy, is a reason for us to dislike one another. So it is only through the history of our struggle to get to know each other, to battle each other, to clash with our ideas, that we begin to see, wait a minute, is this the way that God intended for us to live? Of course not. God says to us in the Quran and in the Bible, Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say he, Allah is one. God is one. The mathematical language begins with the number one. If everything starts from one, then one is the author of diversity. And since all diversity springs from one, all color originates from one, all life originates from one source, then this diversity is meant to test us in the struggle to attain oneness again. We are on a journey toward the Creator. He is one, we came from one, and the ultimate success is to bring humanity to oneness in recognition of the one Creator. And this is why, as human beings, there are certain things put in our nature that make us attractive to each other. What is the attraction for? So you can get acquainted. You may not like me when you first see me. In fact, most of you probably don't, but I intend to do something about that. As you meet a person, I don't like it, but I'm going to come out. Must have been something that attracted you, because you're here. I spoke here several years ago at Black History Month. Nobody was interested in Black History Month then but the black people. And now in Black History Month, because of the notorious individual that you have invited, in that notoriety there is an attraction. So you have said, well, let me go out and see what this nut, or some other name that you might have called me that's not so nice, let's go out and see what he's all about. But nevertheless, there's an attraction. And when there is an attraction, that could be negative, it could be positive. But now we talk to each other. You may like what I say, you may not like what I say. You may reason with what I say and say, he's telling the truth, I agree. And if you find there's more agreement than disagreement, then you say, he's not as bad as I thought he was. After a while, you begin to look past my color, because wisdom doesn't have a color. If I begin to challenge your intelligence, you begin to soon forget that I am a member of a people that are not so well respected or loved. You begin to reason with what I say. So you see, it is the wisdom of God that exalts us above our sex. It exalts us above our color, our race, our national origin, our religious preference, our philosophical preference. Once wisdom is articulated and we can hear it, understand it, and agree with us, then it is only in the wisdom of God that human beings can come together as one mankind. Now, let's get to the black side of this. Oh, Farrakhan, you was doing all right now. But wait a minute. I have to address the black side of this issue, because this is the thing that there's least understanding of. You may not know this as whites, students, because the history of what happened to us is not generally taught. It is not taught to us, and it is not taught to white students. You have a very structured education. Now, professors, I must talk to you tonight too. And I must talk to you on behalf of education. You see, these institutions are set up with a purpose. That's right. With a philosophy undergirding the disciplines. They are set up to cause you to think along certain structured lines so that you fit into the larger society. You may not know this, but black students are not brought into these universities to be structured, to be helpful to your people. No. That's not the purpose here. And that was not the purpose when the founding fathers of this institution and the many like it set these institutions up. They didn't have you in mind. Like the founding fathers of the country, they didn't have us in mind when they said we the people, because at that time we were not considered people. You understand that, right? When they said, we believe these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What magnificent words! But they were not applicable to black people, for we were then the chattel slaves of the founding fathers of this great democracy. Is that correct? We have to reason now. Now, dear professors, we do a disservice to the students when we do not allow them to think beyond the writings of the writer of the textbook. No textbook that you are given is taught or given or written by a man whose knowledge of the subject matter is absolute. They are at best groping in that discipline. And they have led the way in that discipline, but they have a long way to go in the perfection of their knowledge of whatever you are studying. You don't know it all. Right? Right. So when you make students regurgitate what the book says and only give back what they get, that's like somebody eating food and it doesn't come out on the other end, pardon my expression, doesn't come out on the other end after having undergone a process that enriches the body so you excrete the waste. But if you only give back what you get, then the thought process is absent, which allows you to go further in that discipline than those who teach you. But the arrogance of knowledge today is that the arrogant persons who have arrived, which means they have not even started the journey. Prophet Muhammad says, peace be upon him, he who goes out in search of knowledge is in the path of God until he returns. Because if you go out seeking knowledge, you should never return, because knowledge is infinite. What is wrong with education in America and in the Western world is that the education is static and stagnant. It is not constantly evolving toward perfection because it does not allow the students the freedom to criticize the masters who teach them. And this is wrong. These are young people who are born in this age. Being birthed in this age, you are endowed with the innate capacity to handle the problems of this age. But if you are locked into the past by stagnant education that is not evolving, not keeping pace with the demand of the time, then you leave this college or university with a degree, BS, BA, MS, MA, PhD, or what have you, and you go out with a symbol that says, I have made it now. I know. How do you know that you know? See my piece of paper? I shall now hang it on my wall and go look for a job. Just look at you now. If you are truly qualified, if you are truly educated, then let us tackle the problems of the world and solve them so that we can make a better world than the mess that was handed to us by those who handed us the baton of life. Are you listening? You young people are going out into a fast-changing world. This is not the world of your grandfather or your great-grandfather. It's a new reality. It's a reality where women now are not taking the old back seat that society has put on women. That's a new reality. Women are saying to the world, God created me as he created you, and he gave me gifts and intelligence sometimes equal to, sometimes superior to. Why should I be held back because of my biology? Well, if women don't want to be held back because biologically they are different from the male, then what about Chinese? What about Indians? What about Africans in Africa and in the diaspora? Do you feel that we wish to be held back simply because our skin is black? And why, in this enlightened age, would you want to hold me back simply because my hair is not straight, or my nose is broad, or my lips are thick? This is the infinite wisdom of God. He makes people as he pleases. I can't help the way he made me. But this vessel that I live in is the house that I came here in. Don't confuse the house with the tenant that lives within. But now, if you don't like the way the house looks, you may never knock on the door to find out who lives there. Do you understand? All right, now, let's go in a little deeper. Now, students, since you are going to face a new reality, problems of race that have to be solved, problems of sex that have to be solved, problems of religion that have to be solved, problems of the distribution of wealth that has to be solved. All of these are human problems today that fall on you, Mr. Bush and his predecessor, Margaret Thatcher and her predecessors, Mr. Cole and his predecessors, all of the world leaders. There's a lot going on behind the door that the people know nothing of. That's right. There's a lot of decisions that are made that affect you in this room that you know nothing of. You'll never get to know until you get up in the know. Then when you get up in the know, if you tell, you may not live. But Brother Farrakhan has been blessed to be a student of an exceedingly wise teacher who not only was in the know, but was taught by the best knower. So I would like to help you tonight get insight into human nature, deeper insight into race and sex and class, so that we can rise above all of this to approach the oneness of God. I want to start first with the problem of race. Now, black students, Christians, so-called Christians, I say so-called, brought our fathers into slavery. Now, of course, they taught us God is love. You've heard that before, haven't you? We should love everybody. I know how you feel. I mean, I don't know how you could write, fix your pen, or curl your lips to say to me that I am a hater. Here are 30 million black people who have not made progress in this society because we are so divided against self and so filled with self-hatred that was not produced in and of ourselves, but the culture, the society produced that in us. We need to go back now and understand what has happened to black people, why black people are not making the progress that others make. Nothing wrong with you. You're not inferior. No, no. See, basketball is mathematics. They just don't understand, the mastery of the dribble, you know what I mean? And coming on down the court and turn your back, and it's in there. Man making 360-degree turns in the air and then dunking. All of that is rhythm and mathematics. They say we got a lot of rhythm. But what is rhythm but mathematics? We sing, we dance. What is singing? What is dancing? What is it but an expression of a root coming out of the self that needs to be explored? We not only can sing well, we not only can play well, we not only are good football players and basketball players, but we are tremendous thinkers. And so today, you must get acquainted with us on another level, because that other level keeps us in the position that makes you comfortable seeing us as inferiors. And that will not work in this modern time. Now listen. They brought our fathers out of Africa, and they say they found us in the jungles with bones in our nose. All those Tarzan movies have really spooked you all out. And you thought maybe all Africa was just some people with spears. I'm not saying that we don't have some beautiful brothers and sisters with spears who are called primitive. And you who mock us, look at them, look at them. You forget your humble beginnings. This book, Quran, teaches us like this. It says, man at one time was nothing to speak of. Well, what were we at one time that we don't even speak of? We started from sperm mixed with ovum, and we don't have intelligent conversations around sperm. And I'm sure if sperm were on a seat next to you, you would move. Because it is out of place. Don't belong there. Now, I'm not trying to be smart or vulgar. I'm only saying that each human being starts from a life germ that is not much to speak of. And each people, each race, each nation has had to struggle from a very low position to come to great heights. You do not come to great heights on your own. It is wisdom and knowledge that evolves people from a low state to become masters. Is that right? Once upon a time, your fathers were in the hills and cave sides of Europe, crawling on your all fours. Now, this is not something to make mockery of. That shows you had a humble beginning. That wasn't a long time ago. You've come a long way, baby. Now, look at this. From sperm to the hills and cave sides of Europe to mastery of the air and the land and the sea, and is now going out into space. That is a worthy accomplishment, and it shows that man's capabilities are as infinite as the brain of the man. And the brain is unlimited. It is the true house of God. Unlimited. You can do whatever you think, whatever you see, whatever you perceive, you have the power to bring it into reality. That is the power of a human being. Now, God brings human beings up, grants them power, as the Quran says, and tries them to see how you act. Listen, for somebody to give you wealth, and then you take wealth and say, yeah, the reason I'm wealthy is because I'm better than you, poor people. That's why I got money. Or I have wisdom or knowledge, and instead of serving others, I exploit their ignorance with my knowledge. Then your knowledge, your power, tests the development of your character. And this Quran says, whenever a human being starts thinking, I am better than you because of some station in life, or some talent he or she possesses, or some knowledge, or some birth, or some race, or some color, you begin to make yourself a devil. Listen, listen, listen. Now, you students of Quran, I want to come straight down the pike at you. Allah says in the Quran, talking about the angels, this is a very deep theological discussion, but we can break it down and see it in our everyday life. God made Adam, and he tells all the angels, submit to Adam. All of them submitted except one. And that one was called Iblis. And God asked him, what hindered you that you did not submit when I commanded you? And his answer was, I am better than he, for I am made of fire while he is made from dust. That very statement caused that being to be driven out, accursed from the face of God. The thought, I am better. He is a God who creates. He creates the diamond, the ruby. You may put value on them, but in the sight of the Creator, he makes each one differently to complement and to glorify his own mighty wisdom and power. How dare you think that because you are black or because you are white, that makes you better simply because of your color? That is sick. And whenever you build your institutions to promote white supremacy or the superiority of the white man simply because he is white, and not promoting his goodness or promoting his character or promoting his wisdom that he uses to serve others, then you have made a devil. Do you hear what I'm saying? Now look, you are looking to go down in the ground to meet some devil under the ground that's going to burn you and give you hell. Hell no. That's not going to happen. The devil that you're going to meet is the power within yourself. When you misuse knowledge, misuse power, and use your knowledge and your power for devious and wicked ends, in that very motion you become an enemy of God, or you become the devil incarnate on earth. Now I'm coming back to what happened to black people and why it happened and what kind of mentality produced that. And I want to challenge that mentality, that mentality has no more time on the earth. It has no more time and place to rule. And those of you who would hold on to that mentality, you will die in that mentality, because that kind of mind cannot live in a world where human beings want to have a harmonic convergence and come together based on our humanity rather than on our ethnicity or our color. Let's look at it now. When the founding fathers, well, we'll start with Christopher Columbus. You know him. That was the man that discovered America full of people. Now, blessed Columbus, he's a smart man. He was very determined. He knew that the earth was not flat. So he set sail for India, but he was going to take a new route. He ended up in a place that they call Hispaniola. Is that right? He saw some people. Ah, these must be Indians. They didn't tell him, hey, we're Indians. No. Everywhere your fathers went, they named it. 1930, oh, a new planet. Look. Oh, wow, we didn't know it was there. What are you going to call it? We'll call it Pluto. Hey, it's all right. So that's your Pluto. This is your Hispaniola. These are your Indians. Hey, when you got power, you do what you want to do, I guess. Hey, what are these people doing here? Nothing, hunting and fishing and, this is not what this gold is for, hunting and fishing. So your fathers kill these people off. Take their land. They don't have any right to live here because you're there now. You come with the Bible. You come with the cross. In the name of Jesus. These are heathens. So in the name of Jesus, praise God, we're going to get rid of these heathens in the name of Jesus and in the name of the King and the Queen. Well, that's some heavy stuff. Now, they discovered America, but down in Central America is a big statue, a head of a fella that got features like he came from the Congo in Mexico, letting you all know that before you were, we are. You historically, anthropologically, biologically, genetically do not predate us. No, that's not time supremacy. We're just talking historical fact. Why shouldn't white students know this? Why shouldn't young white people know their place of origin? Why shouldn't they have a healthy respect for other members of the human family who are not of their color? It is because you're not teaching them right. And I must suggest to most of you that are Masons and Shriners who know better, but keep the knowledge secret. One day, if you're not careful, your children are going to revolt against you, because time demands that whites come into a new mind. Time demands that blacks also come into a new mind. Now, brother, when they got our fathers out of Africa, unfortunately, some of our own brothers sold us. That's kind of rough, isn't it? I know what some of the buyers say. Your own people sold you. But you were in the market. So one sin doesn't make the other any better. We got brothers today who will sell us out. And we had brothers yesterday who sold us in. Is that right? Okay. Now let's look at the slave trade. The slavers were white Europeans. There were some Arabs involved in it. There were some Jews involved in it. Yeah. That's right. And some European whites involved in the slave trade. I said some. And I want to be as historically correct as I can be because I'm sensitive to your sensitivity. But you also should be sensitive to our hurt that after 400 years, we don't know why in the hell we're in this condition in 1989, can't seem to make things work. And I want to make it clear to everybody today why that's a reality. Now look, brothers, your fathers were not any little stupid jungle bunnies, because white folks didn't need some stupid jungle bunnies to build America. They knew that our fathers had built civilization. Your civilization don't start in Europe. Your civilization starts in Africa, where all civilization began. It's time to know this. The early Greeks were taught by Africans. The African brothers in Egypt, and Egypt was not a white society. The original Egypt is black like us, Nubian. We were the masters of astronomy, geometry, physics, chemistry. Your fathers didn't call us nigger then. The word nigger wasn't in their vocabulary. They came and studied with us in Timbuktu, in the learning centers in Africa. They learned medicine from us. They learned science from us. They learned culture from us. And they started what you call Greek civilization based on Africa and the knowledge coming up from the original people. This is why Greeks as a whole are not as oppressive and disrespectful to blacks as other ethnic or racial whites, because Greeks had a connection to us. They're a little darker, as you can see. We were there too. No, let's get into the history tonight. Now let's look at this. Brothers and sisters, our fathers were brought to America not to be equal, but to be burden bearers of the citizens of this country. When this country was formed, the original definition for American has nothing to do with original people of the earth. This country, according to the definition, American, no aboriginal people could be considered American. Now, I don't know whether that is true today, but it seems like most dark people are still singing, "We shall overcome someday." Why? What has happened to us? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the slave masters wanted to produce a people that was so below human standard that it could justify what they were about to do to us, with us. One man, in a book called Brown Americans by Embry, a white legislator in the Virginia House of Delegates, said, quote, "We have closed every avenue by which light can enter the mind of the slave, thereby rendering him totally incapable of freeing himself." How do you close off every avenue by which light can enter a human being's mind? You deprive him of the knowledge of self. You lock him away from books. You don't let anyone teach him and you beat fear into him, and then you can call him nigger, negro, colored person, burrhead, shine, hambone, coon. You can hang him, sell him, do what you want to him, because you are a good Christian, a white Christian, and he's a heathen, a black heathen from Africa. So what the hell right does he have that we should respect as a human being? You don't know this, but your fathers, those early whites that came to this country, there was a process of 64 years of hidden history that dehumanized my brothers and sisters and made them the people that they are. Have you ever considered why they had something like the $64,000 question, the $64 question? Why 64? Why not 65? Why not 66? Why not 67? They said we came here in 1619. They lied. We came in the year 1555, and it's written in your congressional library, on a ship named Jesus. And from 1555 to 1619, there were 64 hidden years that transformed you and me from a proud black man of Africa and woman with an African name, an African personality, an African culture, African history, African roots, into this despicable kind of human being that does not know himself or anybody else. Now you look at my brothers and sisters. I want you to look with me now. You all whose parents are from Italy, you can go home tonight, and if your grandmother spoke in Italian, if you don't speak it, you understand it. You that are Greek can speak some Greek. You that are Jewish can speak some Yiddish. You that are Chinese, well, you know you got yours. You that are Korean. But ask the blacks. Come on and talk to me some of your native language, sister. What about you? You're a college man. Talk to me in the language of your father. Speak up. Come on, talk. You can't open your mouth. What happened to your tongue? How does a whole people numbering 30 million lose a language? They couldn't lose a language unless they lost the mother who conveys the language. You don't know what happened to us. Let me tell you what happened. Now, wait a minute. Before I go too far, I don't want you to think now I'm stirring the people up for hate. I don't know why he's talking like that. Because that was yesterday, and I don't see why we have to go back and hear those things. Ain't that something? We can sit down at the television and we hear Jewish persons say, never again. And we agree with you. Never again. You have every right to tell your people and to tell the world what happened, so that perhaps it will never happen again. Nobody calls Jewish people who tell their children of the Holocaust that they are teaching their children to hate Germans. They're not in a time warp. They know what was is not necessarily what is, but they got to know what was to make sure it never is. What about us? If I go to my black brothers and sisters and remind us of what happened to us, why should I be charged with being a hate teacher? I want these brothers and sisters to know what was, so they can locate what is and prepare for what is yet to come. I'm not wrong. We have in the church an old Negro spiritual, couldn't hear nobody pray. You may not know this, but among the early slaves, many of them were Muslims. As the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Islam spread across West Africa, many of us became Muslims. And our civilizations, many of them, at the root of it was Islam. When we got to America, since we fought from the 7th to the 11th centuries, and Islam conquered the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, southern France, went all the way up to the gates of Vienna. Most of the Europeans knew that the blacks, who were the soldiers of Islam, called Saracens, Mussulmans, or Moors, that's black people. Our civilization, Islamically, you can still see traces of it in Spain. Huh? In southern Europe. You can. And you can still see the trace of the heritage of the conquerors in the bloodline of the people. Yeah, race mixing was going on. I'm saying that to say this, that George Washington and the people before him did not want any Muslims among the slaves. Something about Islam that brings out the military discipline, the warlike propensities, as Lothrop Stoddard said in his book, The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Supremacy, that Islam brings out the black man's militant nature. And in the conquests of Europe, they didn't want to see no Muslims among us. So the Muslims would cry out. The parents separated from the children. The parents would be crying out, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. See if the children would pick up some words of the language of the Quran. And whenever we would recite a word, kill that child. So I couldn't hear nobody pray. Because if prayer would put the language into you, if prayer would put into you the knowledge of your God, rather than see you dead, your mother stopped praying, stopped calling, so you didn't grow up with your mother tongue. What is your name? You got the names of white people, just like they named Africa, Africa, Australia, Australia, Europe, Europe. They named this America. They named that South America. They named you. What is your name? Johnson, Jones, Smith, O'Reilly, Culpeper, Underhill, Overbrook, Roundtree, White, Green, Washington, Lincoln, Jackson. That's right. Michael, Jesse. Those are not your names. If white folk can come here with an Italian name, a Greek name, a Jewish name, and their names are respected, why shouldn't you, as a free black woman and a free black man, go in the names of your own people? Why should you, in 1989, be doing all your work under the name of your slave masters? They don't even know that they don't know their own names. That's how pitiful their condition is. They don't even know that they can't speak their own language and don't know their own language. They have no knowledge of themselves, no knowledge of their religion, no knowledge of their own God, no knowledge of their own history. So whatever they are is what the slave master taught them. Isn't that something? And since he hated us, he made us hate ourselves. So here you grow up in a white society. Everything is white. The values are white. The culture is that. The standards are that. You're not white. So now all of a sudden we got to straighten our hair so we can look like you. You look like a fool trying to look like somebody that you are not. But no, I got to get me some blue eyes now. I'll go buy me some green eyes. Ashamed of what God made us. That is what your society did to these, my brothers and sisters. And look, man, that's painful. to sell human beings. Do you know what that is? Not for one day, not for 1 year, but for 300 long years. My brothers and sisters were sold like animals. We were not allowed to marry. Do you know what that is? We were not allowed to grow normally, to have the basic institution of civilization called family. What is family? A black man was nurtured like a stud horse, just like he is at the University of Wisconsin today. I gotta talk to you, black man. My great football playing brothers. You nothing but a modern slave on a modern plantation with a modern slave master. And you, look here, no, it's basketball season now. So look, man, you're the ones that make the college rich. They bring you here from the inner city. They don't give a damn whether you get education or not. You can run that ball. You can throw that ball. You can dunk that ball. You can run that track. So come on and run for our school. See, you're like Fiddler in Roots. Because he could play the fiddle. White folks liked him a little more than he liked the other one who couldn't play no fiddle. So when you're a good football player, they bring you here. And they put you away from black students. Ain't none of these football players. You can't socialize with these because they don't want you to get political. You become apolitical. No politics for you. They put you off in a nice area and they give you a white girl and you're happy. I must have struck a nerve, huh? Did I strike a nerve or something? Look, man, y'all all right? Look, can you imagine this big 6'6", 280-pound giant walking down Main Street, Madison, with Miss O'Hara's daughter, blonde hair, blue eyes, pretty thing? You want better relationship with white people? Leave their woman alone. You want a better relationship with other people? People get kind of funny about their women, you know. I know I'm funny as hell about mine. I know what you're going to tell me. It's love. We just met each other and fell in love. No, baby. Don't tell me that. If you don't love her brother, how in the hell could you love her? Me and her is the same essence. You could love my woman in a bed and can't love me at the head of a class when you know I got the ability? No. Your love is not love, it's lust. It's a degrading, dehumanizing lust of black flesh. And we are no better. We are no better, brother. Reared in slavery, all we wanted was to get next to a white woman. It's getting hot in here. So the minute we get a chance to get the slave master's daughter, we think we're in heaven. Brother, that's no trade-off for justice. I'm not saying that you can't fall in love with somebody outside of your family. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, before you fall in love with somebody else outside of your family, make sure that you are a self-respecting human being that is not trying to escape the reality of who and what you are. Do you hear what I'm saying? And look, brother, sister, in the condition that we're in, you can't tell me nothing about your love of somebody else. It is actually a rejection of yourself. Now, all right, I'm going to move on quickly because I know the time is marching. Do you know, students, that whites and blacks in this country, we're almost inextricably bound by circumstances. And do you know that black folk, as bad as we've been treated, have been at the core of the greatest progress that this nation has made? That's what makes us hurt so much. Because while we were slaves, we're not allowed to read, not allowed to write. And if some of you would try to teach us out of compassion for us, they might beat you, they might hurt you. In 1790, they didn't think it was incompatible for us to be Christians and slaves at the same time. So they brought us into the church. Now all this time they had religion. That's why we used to sing a song like this. Everybody talking about heaven ain't going there, heaven, heaven. You know why? Y'all was talking a lot of this heaven stuff. Yes, and when we get to heaven, we're going to meet with Jesus and then hang a black man. Mistreat us. How you going to heaven when you can't do justice by another member of the human family? Because as long as you think that you got where you got because you are better, because you are white, I'm telling you, that sick mind makes you think that you are privileged. Therefore, the law of God does not relate to you. You are above the law. So when it comes to these black people, you can treat them any way you want to because they're not equal to you. They're not really human. So if we shoot one of them down on the street corner, we'll just say he lunged at me with a bucket. And it's always justifiable homicide. We'll just say, well, Your Honor, Jesus, we got him in the cell and he fell down several times and he died. And the judge looks at him and says, probably so. Justifiable homicide. Well, the judges don't see right, they see white. When you got that kind of society, you build hatred. You build animosity. Black folk are sick and tired of this kind of crap that has gone on in the name of justice and decency and democracy and good human relations. And we were getting along so fine till Farrakhan came. Don't put that crap in the pot, brother. You know you weren't getting along well with nobody. Don't blame the condition on Farrakhan. If you leave Farrakhan alone, I'll make something out of these people with the help of Almighty God. Look. We, black people, built the country. Think this. We were with you. We laid the track. We cut the underbrush. We worked the fields. In the South, we made cotton powerful because we were picking it. Think over this now. We built your mansions. We cooked your food. We were the artisans and the craftsmen. Black people. A people, unusual people, because no matter how much you put on us of evil, through our love for God, we found a way to forgive and keep stepping. I'm not saying all of us was like that. Because Nat Turner was not like that. Dan Marvisi was not like that. Gabriel Prosser was not like that. But old Uncle Tom, he didn't like the fact that a slave was getting ready to kill his master. We had a Revolutionary War, didn't we? And the first person to die for you to become a sovereign nation was one of us. And did you know that we, black people, fought in the Revolutionary War? They don't like to talk about this. We fought on the side of the British, and we fought on the side of the 13 colonies. We fought on the side of the British because the British said, if we prevail, we're going to free you. And we fought on the side of the 13 colonies because we thought we would get freedom. Every time white people got in trouble, that's when black people started making advancement. We never made significant steps in America as long as white folk felt secure. But when they felt insecure, that's when black people made progress. Now, I know this may be a little painful, but please bear with me. It's going to get sweeter as it goes along. Listen, Crispus Attucks, the first black to die in the Revolutionary War. After the war was over, those that fought with the British, like the Vietnamese that fought with America against the North Vietnamese, when the North Vietnamese won, the South Vietnamese fled the country, and many of them came to America, and the Americans felt obligated to look after them. The British felt obligated to look after the blacks that fought on the side of the British, so they took them with the British as they evacuated. Some they settled in Sierra Leone in West Africa, some they settled in the Caribbean, and they were free blacks, and I put that in quotes, free blacks. Because see, freedom for blacks only meant a little bit more privilege than your black brothers, but not ever as much as a white person. Now this is very heavy, and it's the same today. Even here, as a professor, you're just a little bit more free, but don't get out of your place. Because we got a place for you. And when you begin to think that you are equal to the boss, then the boss lets you know your time is up. It's sad, but it's true. The next time y'all were in trouble was in the Civil War. Abe Lincoln, bless his heart, you think he cared about us, brothers and sisters? Go read his words. Mr. Lincoln was an honest man. He was honest. He let you know where it was. Abraham Lincoln said to the blacks, I have never been in favor of you all being jurors or equal to white people in anything. He said, as long as you are here, talking about black people and white people, there is going to be superior and inferior, and I, as much as any other white man, wants the superior position assigned to the white race. These are Abe Lincoln's words. Now, look. In the war, did you know by 1860 there were 488,000 free blacks in America? One half of them just about living in the South, and about 226,000 living in the North in what we call freedom, but not the kind of freedom that white folk have. It's freedom for them just about living in the South, and about 226,000 living in the North in what we call freedom, but not the kind of freedom that white folk have. It's freedom from the kind of servitude, slavery that the Southern blacks were involved in. When Abraham Lincoln had to make a decision, he didn't care nothing about slavery. He wanted to preserve the Union. And if freeing the slave would preserve the Union, he would let you go. But if he could keep you in slavery and preserve the Union, you might have still been in that condition. Did you know that the Northern free blacks petitioned to go to war on the side of the North to to preserve the Union? And did you know that blacks demonstrated, petitioned to become a part of the Union Army? And by doing that, they were arrested, they were beaten, and they were attacked by white mobs throughout the North because you wanted to be a part of the Northern Army. Finally, the war got stalemated because the Northern armies, composed largely of working class and poor whites, didn't want to continue to fight their poor white brethren in the South. Here enters the black soldiers. Black soldiers were different than the white soldiers. They were highly motivated. They wanted to fight to preserve the Union. They wanted to fight to free their brothers who were slaves in the South. So they went to work, brother, on the side of the North. And when the war ended, there were as many black soldiers on the side of the North as the whole Confederate Army. So when Lincoln won and Lee surrendered, slavery was abolished, I think, in 9 of the 13 colonies. Now check this out. The whites in the South didn't want to go along with the abolition of slavery. They did not want to come into the process. So it was Northern whites. And remember, the black soldiers were in the garrisons to keep peace in the South. It was then that blacks became senators, congressmen, even a governor of a southern state. And this, blacks in the political process in the South, blacks in the army in the North, actually helped to bring about the unity of the North and the South, the abolition of slavery. And as America expanded westward, the blacks knew that there would be no slaves in the new territory. Now, the Civil War was the worst conflict that America has been involved in. More lives, I think, were lost in the Civil War than in World War I and World War II. I'm talking about American involvement. Now, you're together. And the moment North and Southern whites came back together, the night riders started riding, saying blacks had too much power. So then the Ku Klux Klan rises, the white riders, the night riders, and fear tactics, killing blacks, lynching blacks, mob attacks, and before you know it, all Reconstruction gains were turned backward. Can you see that? When Germany attacked, check this out. Germany was moving in World War I. America didn't get involved till, I think, 1918, 1 year before the war ended. Blacks were trying to get in and fight the Kaiser. Then Hitler rose. And Hitler was going through Europe, brother, like locusts, going through a field. America didn't want to get in no fight now. She didn't want to get in the war with Hitler. He was mean. America didn't get involved till Japan attacked. When Japan attacked, check her flag out, the rising sun, signaling a new dawn of a new reality. The dark people of the world coming up to attack white world supremacy. Now listen, as long as America was in trouble, blacks could join the service. White folk didn't say in the foxhole, look, I don't want to be in the foxhole with you, nigga. Because they understood, man, if a grenade come in the foxhole, you might be the one to pull me out, and you ain't going to tell me, get your black hands off of me. That's only reserved for when we get back home. But while we're over there, we're the best buddies, because the enemy is the German, or the enemy is the Japanese. And when you think of all the lives that black people have lost in all the wars that America has fought, in the Civil War, we lost 1/3 of every one of our black brothers who got into the armed struggle. Over 100,000 of us lost our lives to preserve a union, and we are so divided even to this day. See, you all, talking to whites, you have benefited from our subjection. Look at this now. I'm coming to the end, but I want you to pay good attention, because it gets critical. Because we got to know, where do we go from here? Can you imagine after Hitler was defeated? And I want to say to the Jews who are present, please, Farrakhan is no lover of Adolf Hitler. Please. How can I, as a black man, love Hitler when Hitler hated blacks as much as he hated Jews, and was going to get to blacks after he got finished with the Jews? What would I look like saying I love a man like that? Why not tell the truth of what I said? You all taught me language. I said that Hitler was a wickedly great man. That's what I said. I did not lie. I know what the language is. Hitler is a wickedly great man. Man, predicate nominative. Great, predicate adjective describing the predicate noun. Wickedly, an adverb describing the adjective that describes the noun. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. He was great, but he was wicked as hell. That's what I said. Now, why are you going to make me an evil man? Because I recognize Hitler's evil genius. You recognize it. Every time I turn on the television, and you know we don't put nothing on TV. I just turned on CNN the other day. There was Hitler, there was Goering, there was Goebbels. I didn't put them on. You know that that man used the skill of his oratory and the power of an idea to make Germany the most feared power. And even to this very day, Germany is feared. You got her divided, East Germany, West Germany. You refuse to let the German people unite. But if you check out the Olympics, if East Germany and West Germany were one Germany, you wouldn't even have a chance in the Olympics. These people are a strong people. That's reality. And they are paying reparations in the billions of dollars to the surviving Jews of the Holocaust. I want to talk about some reparations in a minute. All right. Did we fight in World War I? Yes. Did we fight in World War II? Did we fight in Korea? Did we fight in Vietnam? Very good. We were 35% of the casualties in Vietnam. We are 10% of the population, 35% of the casualties. Why? Because you don't have any jobs for black people, so we can be all that we can never be in the society. We can always be it in the army, because the army is good for poor whites and poor blacks and white people that don't have no ambition. You join the army so that the rich boys today can be as they always were. In the Civil War, in the North and the South, the rich did not fight. They paid their way out of it. and they keep their money and pay their way out of it today, while poor whites and poor blacks and poor Hispanics and poor Indians fight for the rich to keep the poor in this hell of a condition. This is what we say has to change. Now here's what gets us upset. A Marshall Plan was announced, and you overnight, America did, rebuilt Germany. Germany got one of the strongest economies of Western Europe. After we helped you win against the Japanese, you go and you build Japan. Fine. After we helped you win against the Japanese, you go and you build Japan. Fine. Nice. Peace. Beautiful. Right on. You know what I mean? Now, who's number one in the world today? Look at this thing. Dear students, look. Do you know that America is 26th in the world in education? Did you know that among 17 nations they had a science competition among high school and grammar school students? And by the time they reached halfway through this, the Americans were 8th at the grammar school level. By the time they got to the high school level, the Americans were dead last. Today, when you have science fairs, who wins are the Asian American new immigrants coming in, or Indians from the subcontinent of India. But the whites of this nation who have been here generations and generations, you are falling further and further behind. You get on television, your knowledge of geography is so terrible, you don't know where Ceylon is, you don't know where Bangladesh is, you don't know where Paraguay is, you don't know where Somalia is, you don't know where Greece is, you don't know where Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia is. What's that? What? Here you are living in a world and don't know the world in which you live. And you can't see that America is losing a grip. And by the 21st century, if America doesn't change, you won't even be a third-rate power at the rate you're going. Look at how vulgar it is to give a ball player $2 million and a professor who is training a new mind can't get a decent salary. A professor has to moonlight. This is sad. Don't you realize that unless America reorders her priorities and puts education at the top of the list and pays professors so that professors don't have to worry about a car note or a house note. These are things that educators should never be bothered with. We should make them free of this kind of worry so that the educator can concentrate on making the American student the finest student that there is in the world. Huh? Of the 10 major banks in the world, 6 of them are Japanese. The capital of finance has now moved from Wall Street to Tokyo. America under Reagan was the leading creditor nation before Reagan got in. When Reagan left, America is now the leading debtor nation. The industries that made America strong and great are no longer there. So when you look on your feet, these are Italian shoes, Spanish shoes, Pakistani shoes, somebody else's shoes, but you didn't make them. Look at your shirt, made in Taiwan. Look at your underwear, made in China. Look at your clothes. Look at your cars. Look at the steel. Look at everything that America was once great in, made somewhere else. The farmer in America is being locked out when the farm is the engine of the economy and the life of a people. But when a farmer can't live, and the farmer has to sell his farm, or he's in so much debt that he can't work his farm properly, America is on her way down. America is on her way out. And now look, cocaine, crack, sex. Look at you. You are all but destroyed as a nation. You look like ancient Rome just before she was about to be taken. Rome didn't die from powers without. Rome collapsed from corruption within. You have no respect for the institution of marriage, no respect for the family, no respect now for one another. Italians don't like the Irish don't like the French don't like the Germans and the Italians don't like the Jews don't like this one, the blacks don't like that one. Look at America. Look at you. Can America continue like this? Destroying yourself. Can you imagine the president, his dear wife, saying, "You all must say no to drugs"? Poor Miss Dukakis had to sign herself in to get help to handle the bottle. Poor Miss Ford. Poor Mrs. Kennedy. These are the privileged. These are the rich. Well, hell, if the rich are drunk, if the rich can't handle the problem of counting their money, what the hell can the poor do who don't have nothing to count? Poor people in America who don't have jobs, now you can sell drugs. So in the black community, our community has degenerated to the lowest state that our community has ever been in our history. Even in slavery, we were not as degenerate as we have become today. I've got to say it, brothers and sisters, whether you like it or not, I got to say it. The black community in America is the Achilles heel of this nation. We are the most crime-ridden. We are the most devastated in terms of killing one another. We argue about a white policeman killing a black brother or sister, but it is we who are killing each other wholesale every weekend in Madison, in Milwaukee, in Chicago, in Washington, in Los Angeles. What has happened to us? And I gotta say it, it's the fault of the United States government. The government of the United States is the worst enemy of the black people of America, worse than any enemy that we have ever had. Now let me prove what I say. Y'all all right? Y'all not angry with me? Now students, look. We got a government. You don't know this. But they're so afraid that the blacks, numbering nearly 30 to 40 million, are going to awaken and unite and become a power. And they're afraid that if we become a power, we will remember the atrocities that have been inflicted upon us and then deal wickedly, or in a better word, justly, with America. But I want you to know that that thought does not prevail in our community. Black people are deep spiritually. We are not shallow people. We know that we would not have endured this except it was in the plan of the divine being. Now we're beginning to understand what the plan was. And by understanding what God's plan was for us and for you, it makes us bear the pain much better. Our thought is not to inflict on the present generation of whites what was inflicted on us by a former generation of whites. That's not our thought. But it could be if things continue as they are. The government of America, look at this. Every time we produce a leader that would reform us of our slavery stench, the government destroys that leader. Now, you don't know this, but if you go back to Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois, brilliant thinkers, and as they evolved, America became afraid. E.B. Du Bois died in Ghana researching the history of the black man. Marcus Garvey came up among us. He was the most profound leader that we ever had. He gathered more black people under his banner than any other leader before him or since. Over 5 million blacks were under the banner of Marcus Garvey. The government was so afraid of Mr. Garvey that they trumped up charges against him, brought him into court under false charges, found him guilty, sent him to prison, deported him, and he died brokenhearted in England. What was Mr. Garvey saying? He said Africa for the Africans, at home and abroad. He said one God, one aim, one destiny. He wanted black people to get up from the foot of white people and start producing the necessities of life for ourselves. He wanted to make us a productive community. The government got rid of him. You don't know about Adam Clayton Powell, but he was one of the greatest black legislators to ever come among us. But they used a woman in Harlem to deprive him of seniority in the Congress. And he died brokenhearted because he gave his all for his people, and in the end we deserted him because the propaganda machine of white America was turned on these leaders, making us to think they were bad men, while in fact they were good men, good for us and good for America. Hold on. You don't know about Paul Robeson. Paul Robeson, a great singer, a great actor, but a great and brilliant man. He went to Russia and was lauded in Russian society. He understood what Alexander Pushkin, a great black, had contributed to the development of Russian society. He came back to America to share his experience with us. The government said to us, he's a no-good communist. So we stoned him, and he died a little over 10 years ago in Philadelphia, a broken man, because he struggled for us. And we, under the propaganda machine, the press, made us think he was what he was not. Then came Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. As long as Martin Luther King Jr. was integrating lunch counters and motels and hotels and buses and toilets, he was a good Negro. We could take the limited discomfort. But when Martin Luther King saw that the poverty of blacks and poor whites in America was linked to America's prosecuting an unjust war in Vietnam, and he spoke out against it, that's when Martin Luther King was assassinated. You don't know this, but he was being wiretapped even under Kennedy's administration. He was being followed. He was being plotted on. Not only him, but the NAACP, the Urban League, all of our black leaders were on a hit list of J. Edgar Hoover, who formed the counterintelligence program. And every dirty trick that America uses to destabilize foreign governments, they used it in the black community to destroy black organizations and black leaders. These are actual facts. Malcolm X and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. Here come the Muslims again, waking up our people, the government again, according to what we have gained from the Freedom of Information Act, tried and successfully worked to divide Malcolm from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This was a government plotted strategy to put enmity between these two men so that blood could be shed between the factions and a split would come and break the movement. This is the government. Malcolm dead, Martin dead, the Panther Party, the NAACP, the Urban League, all of these groups right now are at their weakest. And the government destroyed them. How come you don't read about white artists who get rich and famous and get in trouble with the IRS? Every black artist that gets some money, just when he thinks he's riding high, the government says, you owe me. Let me say something to the United States government. We don't owe you a damn thing. Write this. You worked our fathers for 300 years for no pay. How in the hell can we owe you anything when we built your country and fought, bled, and died to make America what it is? Now you're going to tell us we owe you tax? That's wickedness. That's what I call wicked. You sit around waiting to break black organizations and black men. And I must say, it is precisely because Jesse Jackson arose among us at a very opportune time in history when the ghettos in America were about to explode. Reverend Jackson came on the scene saying, our time has come. What a wonderful statement. What a wonderful thing that a black man would decide to run for the presidency of the United States. Some said he had the unmitigated gall to think that he could lead our nation. I, as a Muslim, came to his side. He's my brother. Whether he won or not is irrelevant. I wanted Reverend Jackson to live. To the Jewish people who are present, you know that Jesse's viewpoint on the state of Israel and the state of Palestinian affairs is not the same as yours. But that's as it should be. He has another view. He wanted a balanced view. So many felt threatened that this man would run for the presidency of the United States. Some Jews wrote, Jews against Jesse, ruin Jesse, ruin. And then when Jesse talking to a black reporter, now listen to this. Jesse talking to a black reporter. You white folks don't know too much about us, but I want to sensitize you to us in terms of language. I told you already that when you all want to shut us out of your conversation, you just speak another language. And we shut out. But when we want to shut you out, we have to develop a way of speaking the English language that you don't know what we're saying. So in the Caribbean, we develop what we call a patois, you know what I mean? And when we start talking our business, we know, none of you know what we talking about at all, you know. When we throw down these kind of things on them, they say, what you say? That's the way we shut you out. In America, or the United States, blacks have a peculiar way of talking. We're the ones that develop slang in the language. Now you all say, it's cool, man. It's cool. Well, now you catching on to our language. We developed a slang that was all our own. Am I right, brother? And we would rap to each other, and this is the way we communicate. It's just what you call down-home talk. Now here's Jesse talking to his brother. We're having a private conversation. Now you don't know this, but we used to refer to each other as spooks. How many of you remember that? Raise your hand, blacks in the audience. Okay. Now you know what a spook is. A spook is something that can get inside your door but can't do nothing. He gets in, he don't mess up the table because he walks through the table. Everybody's eating at the table, the spook is in there, but the spook don't eat, you know what I mean? And that's the way you treat black people. Like we're invisible. Oh, yeah. Here they come. The spook that sat by the door. You know, we're there, but we're absent. So if we're going to Harlem, we may say to one another, hey, man, where you hanging this evening? He say, well, I'm going to Spookville. Now, you might hear that. You may say, wow, they're going to the cemetery? And you'll be right. Harlem is one of more cemeteries where blacks are buried under the rubbish of Western civilization. That's true. It's true. But now here's Jesse. You know that the word Hyman is not a bad name among Jews. That's not a bad name. That's a good name. Well, I want you to listen to it. Listen to it. It may be to you a lame excuse, but so help me, sir, if you listen. Don't get emotional and upset. But I want you to listen to me bring you into our thinking. You don't have to come if you don't wish. But I want you to know, I don't have to come to Madison and change my language to please you. I'm not afraid. I want you all to understand this. I'm not no scared to death Negro that has one speech for black people and another speech for white people. I respect you, but I want to let you into our thinking so you can be sensitized to us as you would like to sensitize us to you. Okay? Now, I'm telling you how we talk. Jesse is talking to a black reporter. Remember now, this is off the record. He's talking to his brother. Where you going, man? I'm on my way to Hymietown with the Hymies. What are you saying, man? He's saying Jews in New York actually are the masters of that city. That's what he's saying. But he's saying it in slang. They run it politically. They run it economically. In the slang terminology, that's what he's saying. Now he's saying it to his brother. His brother is a reporter. It's off the record. The brother should have said, look, Jesse, I don't appreciate that. You shouldn't use that language. Next thing we know, it appears in the Washington Post. Now the reporters are on the Reverend, and the Reverend is trying to run for president. He's ducking and dodging. And I could see when Barbara Walters questioned him that he was guilty. Now, it's not a proper thing for us to say in the public, but you all act as though you don't have some special kind of talk in your private quarters when you talk to your friends about us. Don't be such a damn hypocrite. Don't do that. You know When we talk among ourselves, we may say that nigga this, that nigga that. But we don't want you to say it. Because when you say it, it has a different meaning. Because you speak it out of an historical context of oppression. When we speak it from that same historical context as an oppressed brother talking to another one. Hey, nigga, what's happening? We shouldn't use the language at all. But when you talk about us in your privacy, do you just say, those black people, those African American people, those colored people, the hell you do? What I'm saying to you is, if we're going to have better relationships, we got to start pleading. They don't tell you this, but I'll send you the tapes. I was pleading with the Jewish leadership. Let's reason together. I said to them, look, Jesse is our champion. I said, this man is our champion. Millions of people are lining up behind him. You got to be careful how you handle the champion, lest you inflame those who are behind him. You show such total disrespect of black people. But when we talk about your leaders, we got to act like we walking on some damn eggshells because you're going to call us anti-Semitic or anti-white or haters. But you don't do that with us. You don't think we're human? You don't think we feel? You don't think we have pain? Yes. We don't like it. And because I saw the brother getting ready to go down in the valley of the shadow of death, I stood up and I said, look, we're tired of feeding black leaders to white America like you feed raw meat to wild beasts. And I said, if you kill this one, this will be the last one. And the next day, I was being called by Nathan Perlmutter a black Hitler. How did I become all of a sudden now a black Hitler? I have never advocated doing harm to one Jewish person, not one. I have never. These are with me. I don't have to lie to you. In my private conversation, this is my son. I reared him for 27 years. My oldest daughter is on this rostrum. I reared her for 34 years, and she has never in private heard me call a Jew out of his name. Ask her, man. I don't have to lie to you. I'm not that kind of man. I'm a better man than you're trying to make me. As I dialogue with Jewish rabbis today, a dialogue has begun. I said to the Jewish rabbis, man, I don't wish you all harm. I want to see you live and enjoy life. But I want black people to live and enjoy life. I cannot stand by and watch the blood sucked out of black people to the joy of somebody else. I can't do that. I want to see black people free. I want to see you strong. I want to see America strong, but not at our expense. Not at our expense. No. So I think I should wrap this up. I mean, I have never advocated harming white people. That's not what this is about. What we teach our people is what the Quran teaches. Never be the aggressor. But if anyone molests you, fight with those who fight with you. That's the natural law. We didn't come here to Wisconsin to make trouble, but we came to ease the struggle, to ease the pain, and perhaps lay a base for us to sit down and talk together. But we will not be dishonest. We will not skin and grin. We will not quake and shake. We will not bend and bow and scratch where we don't itch. We are men and women today. We're coming up out of the old Negro past. The government has destroyed our leaders. And I want you to know that the government went to work to break up Jesse and myself. They don't want to see two black men of this kind of magnitude and consequence electrify black people. They don't. Some white people are happy to see us groveling in the dust. But you see, it's become the undoing of America now. You can drive in the community where black folks live, and you see my sister out there as fine as she is, with a mini skirt, with her blouse cut low, dope in her veins, prostituting herself. You can buy her for $10 or $20 because she's out there for sale and laugh. But see, that's no laughing matter to me. I can't laugh when I see my women abused. And I can't laugh when you send a greeting to these young men who are about to come out of school and tell them that they can be all that they can never be in the society, and then a government go and make trouble for America in Nicaragua, in Central America, in Africa, in Angola, all over the world, and then we're expected to come and bail you out of that? Hell no. Let Bush send his children. Let Reagan send his children. But I'll be damned if I'm going to stand here and let you send black people to fight for your damn war. No, sir. No, sir. What I'm saying is we want a new relationship. That's what I'm saying. The time has come when we are no longer to be your slaves. We want a relationship as equals with justice. I don't want to be the person that come to your school and sit around trying to make the University of Wisconsin a black university. That ain't gonna happen. So come on here and get the education. Get what this school has to offer, and then get out of here and take the knowledge and build something for yourself and your people. All of you black students, get up out of the mind of a slave. Slavery is finished. It's gone. You don't come out of here with a degree and ask the white man for a job. America's economy is dwindling. Come out of here and take the $220 billion that we are blessed to get out of the American economy, and let's make some jobs for ourselves. This is what we have to do. Destroying leaders that have reform in their mind has set us back. In 1985, when I went to Madison Square Garden and nearly 50,000 people came to hear me, white folk got very afraid. This is why they call me Hitler, because the masses of black people are listening to Farrakhan. I'm going to be here. I'm not going no place. You're not going to get rid of me. I'm not here on my own power. I'm backed by a power bigger than the power of America. I'm saying this to you because I want you to know I am a man of consequence. There are consequences if you come against me that you may not be prepared to pay. There's consequences if the government makes a move against me. The God that I serve will move on the government. Try it and see. Your day of killing us and getting away with it is all over. Your day of destroying black people to your joy, that's all over. A new reality has to take place. I want to say this to you. America is the greatest country on earth. I've never seen a country nowhere on the earth the equal of America with all her faults. But we can't continue to live like this. 30 million of us, a wide expanding middle class, a bourgeois, black people who are caring less and less about the condition of the masses. and an ever-expanding poverty among the masses, and the white social scientists say that we are a permanent underclass. You know what that means, permanent? We don't believe it's permanent. We believe we can do something about our condition. I am appealing to you. This is America. We can either make it a great nation, or we can pick it apart and destroy it. Black people are not going to take ever again what our fathers took without reacting. And you remember, you taught us how to go to war. You taught us how to make bombs. You taught us how to do all manner of destruction. Did you think you could teach us that? And that one day we might not use it for our own liberation if you press us to that? Is this what you want? Is this what we want? Do we want to shed each other's blood after we've come this far? Is this what we want? Tear up the country? Is this what we want? I don't think so. I think you want America to survive and be a great nation. And I tell you, we want to survive and be a great people, either in this nation or independent of this nation. But we want to survive and become a great, a free, and independent people. And so, I'm going to leave you with a few thoughts on your mind. Black brothers and sisters, I'm talking to you specifically now. Cut out all this foolishness. When you come into these institutions, stop laughing and playing and partying so much and get into the books. Even though they're not the absolute truth, there's enough knowledge in the books that if you extract it, you can build something worthwhile for yourself and your people. Stop asking white people to respect you before you become self-respecting. Nobody is going to respect you and me before we are respectful of ourselves. Do you agree with that? Sisters, I'm talking to my sisters. I'm going to talk to white women in a minute. But sisters, you are very sacred. Sacred. Women generally are not the pleasure instrument of men. You are not to be played with. You are not to be used for pleasure and thrown away. I'm saying this to the women. You have to become more respectful of who you are. If there's going to be a new world, we got to make a new woman. Because only when there's a new woman can there be a new world, because a new world will come through a woman. It will not come without a woman. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, where there are no decent women, there are no decent men, for the woman is the mother of civilization. Religion has messed over women. Christianity has messed over women. Judaism has messed over women. Islam, you have messed over women. If Prophet Muhammad came back today, he would have to start again in Mecca and free women all over again. Allahu Akbar. That's right. When you degrade a woman, you degrade yourself. You tell a woman in the church, shut up. She can't speak. She got to fight to be recognized as a preacher of truth, when she's the first teacher that we all have. And if she doesn't know any truth, then what can she pass on to her children, since she's the first teacher, the first nurse, and the shaper of tomorrow? Huh? Oh, it's sinful. Barbara Streisand wrote, directed, starred in, and produced a movie called Yentl. She got no recognition for that movie, but it was a powerful statement that as a Jewish girl, she could not study the Torah. She had to dress like a boy and then went to the head of her class. Women have a profound role to play in the destiny of the world. And this oppressive religious society and the oppressive political regime have to give way now to something that's kinder and gentler and much more understanding. To the women that are here, stop looking at yourself as 36, 23, and 36 like you're nothing but a piece of meat for men to look at and feel on and abuse and misuse and dump by the roadside. I'm saying this because America has dehumanized women. You getting on the television, fly me, I'm Roberta. Fly me, I'm Elsie. We can't even buy a damn bar of soap. You there with suds up over your breast talking about, get it clean, honey. Trying to buy a mattress, and there you are laid out on the mattress half naked, selling K-brand cereal with your nude self. You wonder why men don't think too much of you. It's hard for a man to look at the body of a woman and it not change the thoughts in his mind. Men are not made to look at you in that kind of way without a desire for you. Very few strong men around that can look at you naked or near nude and not want you. So what do you want out of a man? Do you want a man to lust after you and whistle after you like a dog? Is that what you want? Look at the society. Pornography, sex, and drugs. Rome was not as freakish as this. Babylon was not as freakish as this. Sodom and Gomorrah was not as freakish as this. Rome ain't here no more. Babylon is not here, and Sodom and Gomorrah, a greater grass don't even grow there because God was so displeased with their activity. Where's America going? With strong men and the preponderance of women, and then we as men get strange. It got real quiet, didn't it? I'm not speaking against you personally, but God does not approve of that kind of behavior. Women falling down on each other. Men falling down on each other. And yet we are learned people who don't understand what we're doing to ourselves, what we're doing to the society. I think we got to take another look at this. So as I leave you, I close with a scripture from the Bible. There's a time and a purpose for everything under the heavens. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die. There's a time to heal and there's a time to kill. There's a time to weep, there's a time to dance. There's a time to rend and there's a time to sow. There's a time to gather stones and there's a time to cast stones away. But for every purpose under the heaven, there's a time and a season. May I respectfully suggest to you that both times have come upon us at the same time. It's time for us to come into a new birth spiritually. And it's time for us to die in the old mind that has produced all this trouble. It's time for white students to die in the mind of white supremacy. And it's time for black students to die in the mind of black inferiority. It's a time to be birthed again as human beings, respecting one another as human beings.